Hi, this is Yes Coding. In this video, we're gonna see how to use console tab in Developer Tool. When we do web programming using JavaScript, we need to check our programming is working as we intend. To do that, we need to debug. There are several ways to debug. Today, you will see how to debug on client's side. When we do front-end web development, we need to check if data is rendering on the screen in a correct way. To do that, modern browsers provide very useful tool. Developers can check error message or data in real time on console tab. For easier understanding, let's say you've just made a simple calculator program. The algorithm is simple. Left input plus right input is equal with the sum of those two numbers. In this case, you have to test the numbers you typed shows correctly or not. So in this case, developers use developer tool console tab, but nothing comes up here yet because you didn't use console use function to your code. So let's go to your code and see here. This first means the left side input. This second means the right side input. So let's make this console log two lines here. This means that you gonna shows this first variable to your browser's console tab. First input, first variable, second input, second variable. So let's save and go back. Then you can see first input 0, second input 0, and those two logs from apps.js file, 25th line and 26th line. The reason of those two zero numbers is because I made those two variables default value as 0 here, and that's why those numbers are 0. And what if you input other numbers like 5 plus 7? Okay, the sum of these two numbers is 12, and so algorithm seems working well. And let's go to the console tab and first input 5, second input 7. So everything seems working now. Alright, in this way, developers can test their algorithm and their data is working well or not. This is very simple code, but even though you are using very complicated algorithm, but the working flow is same. This console log shows everything we want to check on the browser in real time. The other thing also I wanted to show you is this console error function. But before testing, if you already know about React, then it's very easy code to understand. But if you are not, don't worry about that. The only thing you have to know this event from here. So here and here. So this event target value means the numbers you input here and here. So this code is validation code for if you type like string, not numbers, then the console error gonna work because I use if as statement. So this means that if you input non-number thing, then the browser gonna shows you error like, okay, you've just made a mistake. The value you've just typed is not a number. Else, if you input number correct way, then this gonna change the variables here right away. So let's save this code and go back. Let's test here. All right, here those two error you can see. F is not a number. But if you type 5 again, okay, first input 5, second input 0. This is because those from the 5 lines. In this way, you can see how console error function works. Console error function and console log function are very similar, but the difference is that, as you can see here, the console error is more noticeable, and the browser can categorize only error messages here. So if you click this part, then you can see only error message here. So those two functions are very useful too for debugging on the client side JavaScript web browser. And the last thing I also wanted to show you this preserve log feature. If you dismiss the preserve log, if you refresh, then the logs stacked before disappears right away. But if you click this preserve log, and let's see, T is not a number, 15, 9, okay. So there are a bunch of logs stacked here, but even if you refresh, even though the numbers refreshed, but the logs still left here. This feature is very useful in the case if you have to debug some bug which is occurred from the previous page or the before, then even though you can refresh the browser, you can see which bug occurred or not. So those two functions and this one preserve log feature are very useful too. So I am using those three features every day in my development daily life. So that's why I wanted to show those features in this console tab. All right. So today I introduced how to use console tab in a Chrome when you development using JavaScript. I hope this helps you to debug. Happy coding!